Purdue and Maryland and Northwestern are going to get sold to some Division II German soccer league in 15 years when they don't hit ROI. Like it's amazing. Like it's a children's fairy tale right now. They're sitting across the table from these people where there's fangs dripping with blood and red eyes and giant ears and a little dress on that just says, "Oh no, we're harmless. We're harmless. We're here to help you." And everyone knows what's going to happen.
This is the College Football Enquirer with Ross Dellenger and Steven Godfrey. I am Andy Staples. And if you want to see Steven Godfrey's beautiful denim shirt today, he's sans sport coat, denim shirt, not Canadian tuxedo. This is more like Mexican business casual. I think
there's
is where we're going.
There's jeans on underneath this. So yeah. I'm
on the Mexican business casual for sure. Hopefully there's
on the road
some Tacovas under there too.
Parts unknown right now. Yeah, I'm parts unknown right now for something else that I'm not going to talk about right now.
But if you want to see that in all its glory, turn on your smart TV, find the Yahoo Sports Network on your home screen, and watch the College Football Enquirer on the Yahoo Sports Network. Also, if you are out and about, booting a boot for our Canadian friends, use your phone or your tablet and go to yahoosports.tv 24/7, 365, and you can watch College Football Enquirer, Yahoo Sports Daily, all of Yahoo's incredible offerings all the time, anytime, on any device. Gentlemen, going to be a fun game. Ross, you were in the field storming in Charlottesville, Virginia last week. You wrote a great story about Florida State this week. And I think they're so interesting because, this Miami-Florida State game feels like a Miami-Florida State game from when I was a kid growing up in Florida. And it was the two, badass programs going at each other with future NFL talent all over the field with huge stakes. It feels like that even though Florida State lost. But I thought what was interesting about your story, because you kept coming back to Mike Norvell saying, what does this team do when adversity hits? And this was a program that went 2-10 last year. And he's wondering, okay, how will they handle it? Because that group didn't handle it. Ross, how do you think Florida State handles it this season?
Yeah, I think at home against a big rival, you would think that they would be up for the game, right? And that they would handle it pretty well. But I was in Virginia, and I was sort of doing sort of an inside the program at Florida State. Just, as a touchdown favorite, thinking that they would win, not rooting for anybody, but thinking they would. So the story tone sort of changed, and I had to bail on the post-game locker room at Florida State, which I was supposed to be in to go to Virginia. And and to write about the crazy upset. But I still obviously, wrote the story. And actually, I think, as you mentioned, Andy, like even with the loss, this feels like a pretty huge game for the program. In fact, there's probably more urgency now to win the game. There's certainly more pressure on Florida State to win the game. And, there was a couple of nuggets sort of a pull out of my story from spending time with them and their assortment of donors, which is always fun, is that over the last year, roughly, they've spent $500 million. They've spent basically in between $350 and $380 million on a brand new football facility that's opening literally this season while the season's going on. And then the stadium renovation that opened at the start of this season, which is this luxury, loge boxes, $4 million suite type of stadium, premium areas everywhere, 8,000, I think, premium area seating that they added. And so that's part of it. And then they spent, I think it's $8 million on coaches' buyouts. And it's $11 million or $12 million on new coaching contracts. And then
this would be assistant coaches in football, coordinators, and basketball coach.
No, I didn't even count the basketball coach, but sure, throw him in there too. But I was just counting, football and then football players, right? Because they overhauled not just the staff, but the roster too. And they went out and got 23 transfers, and their top receiver, their top passer, their top rusher, and 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen all came out of the portal They front-loaded $7 to $8 million in the spring, another 15, 13 plus whatever in the fall, and you get to, holy cow, it's like this $500 million number with, of course, all trying to win in not only that, but as I wrote, take the next step and prepare themselves for this next iteration of college football, whatever that is. And that's at the front of mind of everybody there.
And it's something we'll talk about more as the show goes on, the idea of being in the club. Florida State trying to get into the club, which at the moment is the Big Ten or the SEC. But the way the ACC is structured now, and it's interesting that you mentioned, the money that they're spending, they are about to get more money because the ACC restructured the way it distributes its money. It has to do with how many TV viewers you bring in. And guess what? This game right here, going to bring in a lot of TV viewers. Florida State's been playing in a lot of those games. And to keep playing in those games, you got to keep winning. But if they do keep winning, then from their conference, they should be getting money that is closer to what Big Ten and SEC schools get, which for them is the goal.
Ross, from reading your story, it reminded me a lot of like the anxiety that I heard from Florida State fans this offseason, which it wasn't just a bad season. Like Notre Dame, remember when Notre Dame had a 4-win season under Brian Kelly and he adjusted and he hired new assistants and they recruited differently and they returned to form. One could argue they were even better in that second iteration. Florida State fans, or pretty much anybody who's in the outside looking in when it comes to the Power 2 plus Notre Dame, kind of feel like if they have a bad season like they did in 2024, it's somehow cumulatively worse for their prospects. And it kind of, from reading your story, it kind of feels like the university feels the same way, where if you have a bump in the road and you're 6 wins or 7 wins, or in this case, you completely bottom out, it's that much worse because at all times you sort of have to be, it's like a beauty pageant for what's to come. And I noticed you didn't put a noun on it where it's like, we're not going to say realignment again. We don't really know what it is. Maybe the definition of it changes, but it just seems like you have to be at your best at all times. That psychologically has to take a toll across the apparatus, not just in coaching, but in fundraising and everything else. And it can't be healthy, and it's going to eventually impact your football decisions, right?
Yeah, right. At all. It's talking to people there at every college these days. I mean, obviously Florida State is not alone in sort of the financial stressors and the pressures and all that, and the future realignment weighing on. It's sort of like weighing on everybody, but especially there when they're a big brand, not in the SEC and Big Ten, and they're coming off of this 2-win year. When one of the things I thought I was trying to dig to find out is like, how did they go 2-10 right after going 13-0? And I didn't spend a whole lot of time in the story, but it's pretty clear. And Norvell acknowledged it, I think, in the story. We missed on evaluations of the portal players. Like, bottom line, right? We got a bunch of the portal players to plug holes from guys who left on the 13-0 team, and plain and simple, they just weren't good. Like, well,
sometimes you get Keon. Yeah, sometimes you get Keon Coleman. Sometimes you get Jared Verse. But this is such a nascent science that Florida State, being a leader in the field in early returns, was also kind of destined to be a leader in the field in early failures. And so, I don't want to oversimplify, but it sure does seem like you just didn't get any Keon Colemans and Jared Verses this time.
Yeah. Right. And I think sometimes it's just that simple. You put the wrong group of people together, and then their personalities also don't mesh, and then disaster strikes. Yeah. I think, and that's what I kept saying all through last year in this offseason is Mike Norvell did not forget how to coach. Like, the history of Mike Norvell as a head coach, there's been nothing like that. We should assume that's the anomaly. And based on what we've seen this year, it is. Now, all of their goals still in front of them, but they do need to win this game if they want to have a very special season. Miami, meanwhile, doesn't have to win this game, but if they do, their path just opens all the way up. They had the very interesting scheduling quirk here where they had Florida open date, Florida State open date. So, like, it is a very clear line of delineation between this and the next part of the season. And the next part of the season actually starts with Louisville on a Friday night in Hard Rock Stadium, which will probably be their toughest remaining game. They play Louisville and SMU. They will be favored by double digits in all of their other games besides those, and possibly in those as well. If Miami can beat Florida State here, Miami has the inside track on the ACC title, maybe the number 1 overall seed in the playoff. Like they are in really good shape. And it's interesting because this is the build that they wanted. They didn't get the success as quickly as Florida State did. 2 years ago, Florida State goes 13-0, wins the ACC, gets left out of the 14 playoff, wouldn't have been left out of this 12-team playoff. But Miami, it felt like they just weren't there yet. Yeah. And now they are, and it's been a little bit different. Miami uses the transfer portal too, just like Florida State does. But it's more of we're going to plug very specific holes. With Miami, their foundation is still built on high school recruiting. If you look at what Mario Cristobal has done, like I think the 2 most important players on this team are Ruben Bain Jr. on the defensive line and CeCe Maui-Noa on the offensive line. And those guys came in the same recruiting class in 2022, which, not coincidentally, was the first full-cycle recruiting class Mario Cristobal signed.
He recruits linemen, doesn't he? That's for sure.
Is it unfair to say that Florida State did also build a high school backbone? It was just that
no, they did
not as effectively, because I mean,
not at all.
And look. Okay, but looking back at recruiting rankings, it was like they were out there. They weren't ignoring it.
No, Jimbo Fisher was. Mike Norvell really hasn't been.
Okay. So this is just more of you're sort of forcing the issue that you absolutely have to maintain a high school backbone and complement. Is that so? We're sort of building maxims now, like 5 years into this, where we start to know what you can and can't do.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. We haven't figured that out, but I do think if you want to be great on the line of scrimmage, you probably can't do that all through the portal.
Yeah.
Andy, are we still talking about 1 seed Miami, which is so hard to say out loud without acknowledging competent Mario Cristobal executive function? Like, I mean, are we out of those woods completely?
I don't know if we're out of the woods completely, but I'll take you back to the Notre Dame game, which I thought was handled very well from a game management perspective at the end of a very tight game. And the Florida game, though the final score was 26-7, this was a 13-7 game, I believe, in the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
There were some pretty tense, tricky moments that I thought, again, from a game management standpoint, were handled very well. I think it helps Miami that the overhaul on defense, from hiring Corey Heatherman as the DC to the personnel they got, allows Mario Cristobal to play his preferred style. Last year was not Mario Cristobal's preferred style. They were, we're going to score 50 points and pray you don't score 51.
Right.
That's not the style they play now.
That's not lineman football when you have an ex-lineman as head coach. Again, that kind of goes, Lake and Beach House, ex-lineman head coach probably doesn't want to hit, doesn't want a 65 over under.
No. So
I don't know how many I don't know how many. I should know how many offensive linemen that Miami went out and got in the portal, like the starters, maybe 2.
Brockermeyer, the center, is a transfer, and they have had a couple transfers a year, pretty much on the O-line. D-line, Akeem Messidor was a transfer from West Virginia, but is now in his 4th year in Miami. So I don't know if that really counts anymore.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, when obviously at the Virginia game, the biggest surprise was Florida State's defensive front, not really getting any pressure on Chandler Morris, and not slowing down the run at all, right? Against Virginia. And we've seen Miami look about as complete as a Miami team under Cristobal and for a while at Miami, and where they are sort of dominating the line of scrimmage. I mean, Notre Dame was sort of known for its O-linemen and in the front 7, and they pretty much whipped them in that first game. And so that's the thing, like, I'm sort of looking for is, can Florida State's defensive front get any pressure at all? Because that really hurt them again in Charlottesville. That was sort of, and I think people around the team felt the same way. Like, and even Norvell, I talked to him before the game, and there were 2 things he was sort of watching. One was he thought their receivers, Florida State receivers, would do really well against Virginia's cornerbacks. He was right. Deuce Robinson had, I don't know, 120 yards or something.
Yeah, and if he squeezes that ball sooner, Florida State wins.
That's right. And then Norvell's other thing was they've got a couple of offensive linemen out. Our front should manage pretty well, and that did not happen at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. I'll be curious to see how they hold up. If you can't get pressure on Virginia, you're going to really struggle to get pressure on Miami.
Right. Yeah.
Ross, I think
that's got to be the big concern going in for sure.
The theme of your piece is going to really have to apply to the following week, because even if they beat Miami, I don't think they're going to bounce back and win convincingly if they do win this game. I mean, this is a rivalry, has weird outcomes. I'm not saying they're out completely, but logic is telling us they're going to be looking at 2 consecutive losses, which happens. It is a power conference. That's fine. But on the back of last year, it makes it kind of, if they lose to Miami, it makes that Pitt game sort of like must-see TV, because you cannot afford, with everything that you outlined in the story, financially, psychologically, everything this university is doing to put football at the very front and push forward through uncertainty, to lose 3 games in a row following a 2-10 season.
Yeah, and one of the things I didn't mention with that total bill, that tab, is the lawsuit against the ACC, which I couldn't really get anybody to say exactly how much it was, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was in the 8 figures of legal fees, or at least in the low 8 figures or high 7 figures of legal fees. So you got that too, which of course that ties into what we're talking about of winning, because in order for them to take advantage of the new uneven distribution model, right? You gotta win. You want a higher TV viewership, and that's how you get the more money out of this uneven distribution model. So like all of this, just doing this story, like I feel like all of this weight and pressure is just on this program specifically, more than most that I've been around, I feel like.
Which is also why he was never a hot seat candidate. The buyout is the reason he's not a hot seat candidate, by the way,
60, 70,
nobody,
60 million?
I don't think anybody got healthier off of Nick Saban's retirement than Mike Norvell. But he was never, they can't afford, literally and figuratively, to engage in a rebuild. Even if the buyout wasn't there, I still think he would have been safer than people realize coming off that season. That's why Gus is there. They have to fortify right now. It's a long-term position. It's almost like you're playing a chess match here and not checkers.
So let's shift to the other big game this weekend. And Godfrey, you were at the last meeting of this game, which was the most shocking individual game of last season. Vanderbilt beating Alabama in Nashville. Now, Alabama was the number 1 team in the country going in. Now, they would go on to lose a couple more games, but this is a very different meeting in Tuscaloosa, because nothing Vanderbilt does will surprise Alabama. But the part we didn't necessarily count on, Vandy is better than they were last year, and possibly considerably better than they were last year.
Yes. Let's start with now. We can talk about then in a second. I think this team's better trench-wise. I've mentioned this on the show before, that amidst that Virginia Tech result, which doesn't look out of place at all now, a couple weeks later, I think I said this on the show. When you watch that game in Blacksburg, it was a team that was paying for portal talent and a team that wasn't paying for portal talent on both lines, on both sides of the ball. If you doubt Vanderbilt, that's fine, given the depth of the league. If you consider them to be the team that lost to Georgia State last year, that is inaccurate. I think that's how I would probably set the table for you. I'm not saying they're going to beat Alabama.
Vanderbilt lost to Georgia State last year and then beat Alabama, went on to finish 6-6.
Yes.
This Vanderbilt team hung 70 on Georgia State and also beat South Carolina on the road 31-7. So this is a very different version of Vanderbilt.
Andy, you said I was there last year. I was, for the last 6 minutes of the game, because I had the weekend.
I had the weekend off. Call, hey, don't you live there?
Yes, I had the weekend off. I was putting together a smoker in my backyard, and I can hear the foghorn that goes off when Vanderbilt scores. I had multiple games on. That was not one of them. And if you think I'm crazy, you got to remember Alabama was going to go to Vanderbilt, beat them up and get healthy, right? We were all going to move on. This is a Vanderbilt that had just lost at Georgia State. And I keep hearing the foghorn. And I get a call from the Washington Post and they said, don't you live in Nashville? And I was like, oh God, here it comes. And so you want to talk about a sport code, boys. I didn't have time to take a shower or anything. It was outdoor, like honeydew, Aaron clothes, and then change the shirt, throw the sport coat on. We still had like yard boots on and walk directly in. It was like something out of a movie. I got dropped off. Security was waiting for me. And I talked to the SID at the time and I walked straight onto the field as they were taking over for that last possession. I have never seen anything like that in my career. We've all done hundreds of football games. The importance of that game, I don't know, it may lessen in the years to come as we talk about parity and what's happened in the portal. But there's a couple things I wrote about in that story that stick out to me. They scored 13 points against Nick Saban the entire time he was at Alabama. They were up 13-0 in that game to start it. That was the highest rated talent ranking. I think I used the 247 composite score number in history that they had ever created in the metric, was on that field, and then lost to Vanderbilt. The shock and disbelief amongst the majority Alabama crowd was unlike anything I'd ever seen in my career, because it wasn't, we stubbed our toe, we had a bad week. It was as if people were witnessing something that was functionally impossible. A dog talking, someone sprouting wings and flying away. That was the level of incredulity. And that carried into Vanderbilt. They may not like me saying this. That carried into Vanderbilt. I was on the Vanderbilt sideline and you could see their disbelief, except for, and I'm not hyping this up, I don't have a book deal on him or anything, Diego Pavia was the only person outwardly projecting that he was going to win that game. And he carried that on. I wrote about this. He wouldn't take his pads or his jersey off. I got him about 55 minutes after the game ended in a hallway, and he was still pacing like an animal. He reminds me so much of, like, I would say a prize fighter, but probably more MMA, still in a sort of combative conflict mode. So even after that.
Was a great high school wrestler and comes from a wrestling family.
Well, so his that makes sense.
It's
because
all there.
His brothers
his neck would
wild.
tell you, like, having worked in wrestling for a long time, his neck and his jaw set at a certain way where he's embraced contact a good portion of his life. I have never seen anyone around associated with Vanderbilt that had as much confidence in perpetuity as Diego Pavia.
And he's still rolling, right? I think I saw it, right, Andy? You guys wrote a story where he basically said, if we play our game, it won't even be close.
Yeah. He's talking trash to the level of Tommy Castellanos over the summer, which we were like, well, that's stupid to talk trash to Alabama like that. And then Castellanos backed it up.
Yeah.
The difference is Pavia's already done it. So it's more credible coming from him. But again, they won't surprise Alabama this time. Like, Alabama will come in ready for revenge. This is an Alabama team that just went to Athens and beat Georgia. Ty Simpson looked incredible. Like, this is a chance. This could be Diego Pavia's Heisman moment, or it could be Ty Simpson's Heisman moment coming up.
Are there any comps to the Hugh Freeze back-to-backs here? I don't think it's the same kind of Alabama. I don't think it's the same kind of era. But for Alabama fans, that's the chatter I've seen comping this, is like, we want to prevent that back-to-back Ole Miss loss.
Yeah, it's that would be very, and the second Ole Miss loss was actually very fluky. The first one was not. They were 2014 and 2015 Alabama Ole Miss games. The 2014 when Ole Miss just outplayed them in the second half and won. The 2015 when you had the weird bounce off the helmet. After
Alabama starts the wrong quarterback, honestly, and figures it out.
Nick Saban got cute with the quarterbacks, and So the thing about this one is Alabama and Georgia. We don't know what we were watching with Alabama and Georgia, and I don't know if we're going to know what we watched for a few more weeks. Were we watching the two best teams in the SEC go at it, trading knockout blows, or were we watching two teams that are pretty good in the SEC that maybe aren't any better than the other good teams in the SEC? And that's the part we got to figure out.
Right. One thing, I got a press release saying 10 million people watched it. So it turns out that the playoff is not diminishing the regular season. Can we officially hammer that shut?
Yeah. Also, how about Friday night? Virginia, Florida State, I think had 4.5 million people. I think it was the highest Friday night viewed game in ESPN, maybe in history.
If you put really good games on weeknights,
wild.
people will watch them.
Yeah. We did an entire examination of this on my other show on Phantom Island about why college moved off of Thursdays, and I'll summarize it really quickly.
NFL?
Well, you can go. So that was my premise. Was I came in like a grumpy college fan saying like, how dare the NFL take this away? It's not entirely the case. There's a longer examination of how television contracts shifted away, and then how eventually college said, the television providers for college said, hey, let's better position our inventory for good hits like this. Now with what's going on with Friday Night, Ross, I think they found that they want to plant a flag. Also, this has to do with the NBA. And it also has to do with Fox coming back in a bigger way into the college football space than what we were accustomed to on Thursday nights, because they have that slot and they have that inventory and they want to make it a thing. Although that Florida State was
this Friday shows us that they haven't actually learned anything yet, because
it is
West Virginia BYU is the best game and it starts at 10:30 Eastern.
Well, this week is not the week to talk about a television schedule. I already did that rant. So there isn't a slot this weekend that's particularly great.
There's one thing, these schools, especially the big brands, man, they do not want to play on a weekday. Like Florida State definitely did not want to play on the Friday. And they may or may not be partly pointing the finger at the league office for putting them on a Friday in a, quote, clear trap game, right? The old trap game.
Guess what? Suck it up.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play in a league where you get games against teams that are not historically relevant, when you play at those teams, that's where you get stuck on a weekday. Get over it.
Yeah.
I think that it's Big Ten schools I've heard that are quietly trying to petition to not end up in that Friday night spot.
Although
they don't want that
either.
Got some.
That's right. I think
there's a Rutgers-Washington Friday night game next week, and guess what? That's exactly where Rutgers-Washington should be.
Well,
because no one else would watch it on Saturday. If you are playing in a game that no one would watch on Saturday, that would draw 300,000 viewers on Saturday, and you're going to draw 2 million viewers on a Friday night, you should be begging for that game. Begging. Even for the road team.
The fake Maction starts next week as well, talking about sort of acquiescing. Not real Maction, fake Maction.
Conference USA Maction.
Missouri State, Middle Tennessee on a Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Go to that, actually.
Barn burner. I might go to that.
I'll drive down. Why not? Go see Missouri State. Why not?
Was that Tuesday or Wednesday or what?
Yeah, it's a Wednesday. There's a doubleheader, Liberty UTEP. So I had a Maction fan, an Akron fan. That's the kind of listeners and fan base I have. I have an Akron fan write me saying, "Is there any way we could ever get out of this deal?" And I said, "The best you could do." The best you could do is maybe fill back in on Thursdays where like the bigger college games have abandoned. But otherwise, no, ESPN's always going to tell you, go dance for us on Tuesday night. Like, you're going to be the stuff that we stuff commercials and the selection show around.
Yeah.
And if you'd like no one to ever watch your games on television, sure, stop doing games on Tuesday night.
But I get it, Andy. Also, there's like 1,200 people at these games. No alumni, no fans can go. I mean, even the kids on campus.
And the awareness of Toledo
day.
And Akron and Western Michigan as schools that have college football teams is 1,000,000,000% more than it would be if you didn't play those games.
But also, like, there's no talent left anymore. It's not like we're seeing Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger and like there's a whole other referendum on this level of football because the talent's dropping out because of the portal and they can't replace it.
All right, we'll move Rutgers-Washington to Tuesday. That's fine.
That's what I'm talking about.
Keanu would love that.
If no one was going to watch your game, put it somewhere where they're going to watch it.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Monetize.
I'm already getting mad. I'm getting pre-mad because we're going to talk about something that makes me really mad. When we come back, Ross has some news on the NCAA basketball tournament. We'll talk about what it might mean for football.
What's basketball?
I'm already mad. I will try to contain myself. We'll be right back. We are back with the College Football Enquirer. We're going to shift the name a little bit. We'll College Sports Enquirer this one for a few seconds. Because Ross Dellenger, in your On 3 column this week, you have some news on the NCAA basketball tournament.
Shooty Hoops, Andy, in the middle of October at Shooty Hoops News. Well, we know the NCAA has been negotiating now for, probably about a year, maybe a little over a year and a half with the TV partners of the NCAA basketball tournament to expand either to 4 teams or 8 teams. The new news sort of is it's going to be, if they do expand, it's almost certainly going to be 8 teams. So it'll be 76 team event. There will be 12, like right now you have the first 4. There'll be a first 12. There'll be 12 games on Tuesday and Wednesday. It'll be called very likely like the opening round. It won't be the first 12. And there will be so 12. So you got 12 games. You have 24 teams. You'll have 12 teams that are AQs, right? The lower resource sort of AQs. Yeah. And then you'll have 12 at-large teams. The big part of this is you're gonna have to pull out. You got 8 new teams, at-large teams, that will play in those first 12 games. But you have to pull from the original bracket 8 additional teams to play. So 8 teams now will have to play an extra game in this sort of opening round or this play-in round. So that's sort of the gist of what's being talked about. Will they reach a deal? It sure sounds like they're going to get there, potentially as soon as by the end of the month. They're going to get there with WBD and CBS. The problem is, and the last thing here is WBD and CBS are maybe about to be under one umbrella.
Yes, Warner Brothers
Media,
Discovery.
Yeah, but Skydance Media, which owns CBS, right, is going to
the son of Larry Ellison, using Larry Ellison's money to buy things.
Warner Brothers, yeah, that's right. So So the NCAA is negotiating with 2 entities right now. It could be one, and that's sort of complicating and maybe delaying things a little bit.
What, Federal Trade Commission complicated?
I don't know. I don't know about all that.
Come on, Ross, you live in D.C.
I know. I live in D.C. I'm supposed to know. Well, I know the government shut down, so that's probably not helping things.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know where to start with this.
Ooh, he's mad.
Look out, folks.
I've always been somebody who was wanting college football the college football playoff to exist and then to expand past forward because it's a better tournament if it's bigger, but not too much bigger. So 12 to 16, I've said that's the preferred number. Either leave it where it is, make it 16, but stop after that. And the people who didn't want any sort of college football playoff, the dummies who want the old bowl system back, they're like, you said you wanted this. I'm like, no, I don't want that. And if you asked people, like when the college football playoff was at 4, like we did a survey at The Athletic, like 76% of the people wanted an 8 or a 12 team playoff. So people wanted that. I can tell you without doing any scientific research that if you did scientific research, do you know how many people who aren't basketball coaches or athletic directors would want the NCAA basketball tournament to add 8 teams? You want to know what percentage of the people that is? It's 0. Not a single person wants this. No one wants this.
Okay.
No one.
No one?
And then, of course,
no one?
There's one way to actually do it right, and they're going to do it wrong. If you're going to do play-in games, and I've said this about the first 4 the entire time, all name brand conference schools, because people might actually watch that. The other part of it is, the best part of the NCAA tournament is the schools from these other conferences get into the field by winning their conference tournament. Everybody has a chance to get in. It's like the U.S. Open in golf. Like, you can go to a qualifier. So theoretically, I could make the U.S. Open. Theoretically, every team in Division I college basketball has a chance to win the national title. Theoretically. But when you do this and you make them play in the play-in game, and I know what you're going to say, but Andy, they get a tournament unit if they win, and they get to win a game in the tournament instead of getting blown out by Duke. No.
That's right.
The college basketball tournament should be 64 teams. The actual tournament is 64 teams. The audience recognizes the tournament as 64 teams. Put the AQs in the 64-team field. If you want to have play-in games, have name brand schools that everybody knows but had terrible seasons playing each other. Because nobody gives a crap about a 17 and 15 Big Ten school, whether it got into the tournament or didn't get into the tournament. Should have won more games. All right, There, I'm done. I'm sorry.
I'm
going to take a break here.
That was good. I'm professionally angry, and I'm very impressed. Turn. Yeah, I mean, what he said. First off, it's basketball, so I'm not going to stretch my credulity. Second, does anybody watch those Dayton games? Like, do they, relative to the field, sir? Relative to the field, do they do numbers?
They do okay.
Yeah,
but again, it makes me so mad when you have the MEAC champion against the MAAC champion in Dayton. Like, they need. Put them in a normal in the normal tournament. Make them a 16
give them
seed.
Their flowers.
Yes.
Okay.
Give them their moment to get blown out by North Carolina.
All right. I like this because in the last segment you were like, deal with it, Mac. And now that you're champion of the small league again. I like that version.
I'm not consistent. I'm definitely not consistent.
I get it. No, I mean, like, you want to give them their. This thing is just so unique. It's hard to talk about it.
People would watch the play-in games more if you only put teams they knew in there.
Yeah, if you had the labels on it. Yeah. This tournament is so unique. I've seen it applied in loose comparison to what's going on in football, and I don't think it's ever going to really work. I think the NCAA basketball tournament might be the best postseason structure that I've ever seen in sports. And the willingness or eagerness to tamper and tweak unnecessarily is one of the greatest unforced errors that the NCAA and its partners have ever committed. And that's a big statement.
Well, 64 was the perfect number. And that's the thing. Like, that tournament expanded. It went from 16 to 32 to 48 to 64. 64 is the number. Yeah. It's the perfect number. We may come to find out that 12 is the perfect number for football.
This is agreed. But Andy,
like 12.
I like 12 too, and I have no issue with staying at 12. Yeah. I have no issue with. I don't have a ton of issue with 12, 14, or 16, and then past that, I like. Yeah, you're gonna need to sit me down and talk to me.
Another round is the problem, and that's the problem in the basketball tournament.
But isn't this
adding
just the
round?
Same? But it is the same. This is one thing you can compare them on, and I'm just the ignorant guy here. Isn't this just the greed of the power conferences again, trying to logjam more schools into the postseason field? It's the same problem as it is in football. We don't know if 12 is perfect. We just started. Football's a whole other mess. But
the Big Ten's still in here trying to get 20 or 24.
Sure.
When no one wants that. The consumer does not want that.
But the only thing that I know from reading the coverage, and I don't cover college basketball, I never have, is that this field expansion is due specifically because of power conference commissioners saying we should have as many teams as possible in. We don't care about the AQ schools. We don't care.
Correct.
And they're incensed anytime and not a buy, an at-large bid is given to a non-power school. They feel like it should just be them. This is the same song and dance that the commissioners of the SEC and the Big Ten have been forcing down the throat of college football.
What they fail to understand is what makes that such a perfect postseason tournament. It's the best tournament in American sports, by the way. But it's better than the NFL playoffs. It's better than the NBA playoffs.
Yes.
It is the single best tournament in American sports. It's the best. And the reason why is the upsets.
It's the best postseason structure in sports that I've ever seen. But this again goes back to if we're sitting here saying, why are they doing this? Well, we know why. The problem is this. It's no different in basketball because we don't have centralized governance. Greg Sankey's remit is not to look at the NCAA tournament and say, what a perfect structure. What an amazing postseason. What a great product. His job as one of the most powerful people in college sports is to only make the SEC richer. And because he is not held in check by a central governing body or individual or however you want to do it, this is inevitable that the leaders of the Big Ten and the SEC will continue to try to grow regardless of the effect that it has on the sport. They are not, let me say it simpler in case someone isn't hearing me. They don't care about the health of their sport, the sports they participate in. They only care about their leagues. So this basketball news is the best example yet that if you leave these individuals and these conferences unchecked, they will devour good things that we all universally love in the name of the bottom line.
Now, if you don't want a super league in football, this is also, and we'll get to this in a second because this has to do with the next thing we're going to talk about too. But if you don't want a super league in football, the thing that will keep a super league from happening is the Greg Sankeys and Tony Petittis of the world wanting to stay in charge of their current fiefdoms. They don't want centralized governing
Or
unless
because they might not be the one in charge anymore.
Unless one eats the other.
Right. That's true. Locking in their league under a private equity deal for 10 more years and 20 years total.
Look at that transition.
Oh, what a segue, Ross.
Yeah. How about that?
What a segue. Perfect.
God damn.
So the news that came out, some guy named Wetzel wrote it at ESPN. Some guy named Wetzel and Pete Thamel.
He's a good author.
I heard he's a decent podcaster too.
He's okay. He's fine.
Yeah. So the Big Ten exploring a private equity deal that would be an infusion of $2 billion. Is that right, Ross?
At least. Yeah.
At least $2 billion.
Yeah. Yeah.
The price of that is not your typical private equity deal where, let's say, I'm in charge of Andy Staples LLC. I'm going to sell you 40% of Andy Staples LLC. You will then share in the profits and the losses and all of that. Essentially, what they're doing is they're creating more shares. So there's 18 Big Ten teams. There would be a 19th share that goes to the conference office, a 20th share that goes to whatever private equity firm provides this cash infusion.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you are selling a piece of the league, whether they want to believe it or not. You're selling 5% of all revenue generation out of the conference office. So that would be your TV money. That would be any sort of league-wide sponsorship deals, that sort of thing. So you're selling 5% of that to someone. And it's interesting because, Ross, can you explain what the Big Ten schools will have to do to get that?
Well, yeah, they have to sign on, number one, the most important thing, they have to sign on 10 more years to all stay together and lock arms by extending the grant of rights from the current 2036 to 2046, which is a hurdle in a time of instability where there's so much movement and uncertain future. I think for many big brands in that league, namely Michigan and Ohio State, for instance, that is a sort of a big hill to climb. And it's why, it's why I was resisting the urge for the last 2 months to write about it, because I thought when your two biggest brands haven't said yes, that's a problem, obviously. Now, will they eventually in the next 2 or 3 weeks, because they are progressing, they have progressed, maybe they will, but there's a lot of reservations
and maybe
about extending the grant of rights.
Maybe somebody pushed to leak this to put pressure on them to do that. But
maybe.
What's the angle here? I don't know if we ever did our What's the Angle theme song.
What's your angle? I'll buy that.
You know a little something about geometry?
One thing I can't figure. What's your angle?
Here's me looking at this, trying to discern the angle. We talk about wanting to be in the club, and we talked about Florida State wanting to be in the club. And I think the view from the outside is that anybody who's already in the Big Ten or the SEC is in the club. I don't think that's the truth on the inside, because I think if you are Illinois, if you are Mississippi State, you feel a lot less secure than if you are Ohio State or you are Alabama. And this would force Ohio State and Michigan into an agreement through 2046 that would keep them from calling Alabama and LSU and Tennessee and saying, why are we paying for all these guys? Why don't we just keep all the money for ourselves? That is one of the things that's possible. Now, I don't think that's the only reason, but I think that has a lot to do with it.
Some things we don't know about this that are really important, and I don't know, I really don't know about this part of it, is, every PE firm has an exit plan, has to have an exit plan. And that's the most curious of, what is this exit plan and how much more than they put in are they expecting back? Which, is probably going to come from, a new media deal, right? It's probably going to come from potentially the Big Ten enterprise profits or revenues that they make. So the Big Ten is not going to have a problem making money, I don't think, in the future. But how much money is this PE getting when it does exit in 20 years?
And the other piece of this is tiered revenue distribution, right, Ross?
Yes.
Where certain Big Ten schools will get more than others.
And I should say, let me go back and talk about like how long this has been going. It's been right around a year. It was like last fall when it really started to come up. And then Sportico, to credit them, in January, they reported about the Big Ten Enterprises stuff, that that there was an exploration into PE to create this Big Ten Enterprises. Then I'm going through the steps here. Then in the spring, at spring meetings in Terranea, the Big Ten administrators got presentations from 4 different capital firms. And then over the summer, there was a lot of work done on getting the bigger brands more money in the tiers.
So they don't leave the other ones behind.
Yeah. So it's going to be unequal. And I had originally heard it was 3 tiers, right? There were 3 or 4 schools in one tier, 3 or 4 schools in second tier, and everybody else, like 10 schools in the third tier. Now, more so, it sounds like there's 2 tiers. But again, so one of the things too, should say, and which makes it hard to write about this thing and talk about it. Every effing day it changes. Every day this proposal has changed. I mean, virtually every day something has changed in this proposal, and it's either the tiers, the distribution, the exit situation. So there's a lot of like moving parts of it. And from what I understand, the lawyers of the Big Ten have not written all the documents because it continues to change. But we're coming to a head, right? By the end of the month, a decision's got to be made.
Ugh, so terrible. It's just so terrible. Like I'm a 12. I know you gentlemen are as well. I think I'm a 15-year veteran of digital media. And the reason I bring that up is PE.
We've had a lot of experience with private equity coming in.
Folks, yes. We are in the media business, which means we learn so that we may teach the audience. This is something we have natural aptitude in, every one of us in our unique ways. And I'm sitting here dying laughing at the willingness to jump in bed with PE right now, especially at the highest level of college football, because Purdue and Maryland and Northwestern are going to get sold to some Division II German soccer league in 15 years when they don't hit ROI. Like it's a very different podcast, but I can give you some cautionary tales about PE and media rights.
Well, yeah, because and that's what I know. A lot of the college administration understand this because I've had the conversation with them. Like they get what these people do.
Oh, this is so great, man.
I'm not lying to you when I say that someone is going to go. Let's say they do a deal. Someone's going to go to the Big Ten office in 5 years and go, why do you have Maryland and Rutgers and Purdue when you could have Florida State and Clemson and Miami?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's amazing. Like it's a children's fairy tale right now. They're sitting across the table from these people where there's fangs dripping with blood and red eyes and giant ears and a little dress on that just says, oh no, we're harmless. We're harmless. We're here to help you. And everyone I am knows
Jackie Daytona, human bartender.
Everybody knows what's going to happen. This is amazing. And you know what? I have heard all kinds of creative excuses from the industry people I talk to as to why this is a natural progression and why this can be helpful and why this is going to help those middle of the road P2 schools. And yes, please give me all of this so I may write it down or capture it in audio, because when they come for you, and they are going to, you cannot say you weren't told that this would happen.
Godfrey, they know.
They don't care.
Well, they know.
They don't care.
They some of them know, and some board members have stopped this from happening on individual school levels, right? Like there's some schools, a couple of them out west, that have gotten PE deals on an individual school level, basically all the way to the finish line to their board, and it was rejected. Because of all these fears that you're mentioning. And we know that the Big 12 has twice brought a proposal to its board, rejected. Last summer and maybe, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, or something like that. And then all these things are different, but there's been a lot of rejections. But somebody is going to take the leap at some point, and whether it's a school or a league like the Big Ten. And we also know, I wrote a little about this in May, the SEC's hired Goldman Sachs to do vetting type of work, exploratory work on PE as well. And I think more of that was probably a response, right, to other people sort of doing it. But I sense from that league, especially at the presidential level, oh boy, there is no appetite for it at all.
Really?
But when somebody else does it, like your chief rival, right? If your chief rival does it,
it only
changes
takes one.
Everything.
Here's why this is great. We are just constantly nipping at the heels of European soccer in American college football. And there's nothing more craven than European soccer. And the NFL is a little too well managed to become as sociopathic as European soccer. But college football, folks, we're going to end up with drug cartels owning
I was going to say, there's some public investment funds going. I was rubbing my hands together. I just realized this is an audio. It's somewhat mostly audio medium.
An audio medium. Yeah.
We're going to have I picked an English soccer team last year, and they're like, well, the guy who owns it's like a Greek shipping magnate, but he may actually be like smuggling human beings and stuff. And I'm like, oh, word. Okay. That's worse than some of the boosters I know. Like, we're headed in that direction, folks. Can't wait. This is the road y'all are paving. We have a lot of industry people that listen to the show, right? I would just love for one of them to come on and explain, like, walk this out. I'm just an idiot asking questions. So you tell me why I'm wrong and that this time that PE is going to be different. We're all going to see fat returns. This is going to be great for Maryland and Rutgers. It's going to be fantastic.
All right. We're going back to football when we come back.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling, and you dummy bettors gave me an extra point on my feeling. Thank you so much for that. I'll tell you all about it in a second. We are back at the College Football Enquirer, and it's time for I've Got a Feeling.
You think football is still fun? I feel great, man. I got a bad feeling about this.
All right, I'm striking back. I think I've won 2 in a row, guys, after a terrible start to the season. I've got a feeling, again, about a game happening very near me. Texas is coming to Gainesville to play Florida. Last week, I didn't give you a winner or a loser. I gave you an over-under total. I feel very confident in this one as well. It started, I believe this game opened at 43.5. It then came down to 41.5. But you guys probably looked at Florida's injury report, probably realized that Aaron Gates, the safety, decided to have surgery this week, and that Jacoby Jackson, their second best running back, is also out for this game. And now it's back up to 42.5. So I'm telling you right now, there's a really good chance an Iowa-Wisconsin game breaks out in Gainesville. Florida's defense is not what it was. They've lost several key players. Aaron Gates, the aforementioned safety, the most recent one they've lost. Dijon Johnson, the corner who was lost in the Miami game. Caleb Banks came back for the LSU game, went out in the LSU game. Mekhi Barrow, the defensive tackle, probably their second best defensive tackle. Now that Caleb Banks is gone, he's not playing. This is a lot of, actually, he's not out. So maybe he is going to get to play a little bit. But Florida is not in the place defensively that it was, but it is still fairly formidable on defense. And we have not seen great things so far from the Texas offense. Meanwhile, the Texas defense is every bit as great as we thought it was, and Florida's offense has been pretty terrible. So, again, high probability that an Iowa-Wisconsin game breaks out. I would have been happy saying under for anything, probably anything to about 39. So, yes, I will happily take the under 42.5 on this one.
I like
Andy, what is your predicted score? And I have a reason for asking.
Texas 20, Florida 7.
Wow. Oh, damn it. Okay, never mind. I was going to say this,
which is very similar to the Miami Florida score.
Well, I was going to say that would what you are speaking into existence would prevent a busy Sunday, if you know what I mean. But that may not prevent a busy Sunday.
I don't know that it will. I think it would depend on how that goes. And what Godfrey's talking about is Billy Napier being relieved of duties.
Yeah.
And that is probably inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of what will be the inciting incident. And I do think if Florida plays well this weekend and plays hard and it's a good game and they may even win, who knows?
Yeah.
You're fine for another week if that happens.
I mean, this is one I was thinking about of doing I've got a feeling for Florida. I mean,
just firing him.
7-point underdog at home. Yeah. I mean,
covering a home dog, covering, a touchdown. But you don't want me picking your team because I'm 1-4. And I think we're 5-12 overall. I mean, we got to pick it up.
I think I've it up since the USF game, which I got wrong. I have picked Florida I've picked Florida's opponent to cover every week and been just fine.
There you go. Ross.
I've got a feeling about the Cowbells going to Texas A&M. Mississippi State, much improved. We saw them beat Arizona State. We saw them probably should have beat Tennessee, outplayed the Vols for a while in Starkville, and I think it's 14 points, right? Yeah. Or did it drop to 13 and a half or somewhere around there? So, I think Blake Shapen, quarterback, does enough, even if they get behind on the road, to hang in there with the Aggies. They've been running the football really well too. I think that'll help on the road. So yeah, give me the Bulldogs to cover the 14.
This is such a tough spread, by the way, because Mississippi State was awesome against Tennessee, and I don't know what to make of Texas A&M. I think Auburn's defense is really good, and that's why Texas A&M dominated statistically, but only scored 16 points.
Yeah.
I think Texas A&M may be able to hit the end zone quite a bit more against Mississippi State, and I think they'll be able to stop them. And that's what with Mississippi State, I can't tell exactly how much better they are. Like, are they gonna be in every game better, or are they good to pull an upset or two down the stretch better? And I don't know which is which.
I might split that difference and just say that they're going to give you a game more often this year. That's what I've seen so far. Arizona State being basically like a coin flip, fluke ending, whatever. Hey man, have your safeties back. That's not Mississippi State's fault. No. I don't have any analysis here. This is real simple. Okay. All right. Fighting damn Warhawks of Monroe, Louisiana.
Are
11 and a half point dogs. Do you know where they're going, boys? Has anyone seen this in the show notes?
Evanston, Illinois.
Are you kidding me? Are you
on the
kidding
lake?
me? Okay, here's the deal. I'm just going to level with you guys. I got to spend a lot of time in Monroe, Louisiana. And if you notice the word was, I have to. Okay.
It's a water skiing school.
It sure
People
is.
don't realize.
National championships, Andy. National championships.
I know. I've seen the ramp.
I am
what
related.
What is that restaurant on the bayou that's so good, Godfrey?
There's several.
It's like the famous restaurant. Yeah, no, that doesn't narrow it down, right? Like some.
I know exactly which one you're talking about, Ross.
Yeah,
I cannot. I've eaten there a couple times.
So good.
You're doing this to me on the air, and I will pay a price for this. So I have to find out immediately because I know I've eaten there, but there's several ones. What are you talking about? Waterfront Grill?
Maybe I'm going to look now too.
That is what we're talking about. We're talking
it's
about
right across from campus. It's like right across from the. You could see
you're talking about the Waterfront
campus.
Grill.
Yeah.
They have a patio that sits on the bayou.
Yes. If you want a good lunch, I would go to Cormier's or I would go to the Cherokee. And then also, if you want to go and enjoy a libation, I'm doing Ross's bit now.
There is definitely Waterfront Grill that I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. There's a small brewery there I love called Flying Tiger. So shout out to them, which is why you see those. You sometimes see those the teeth on the helmets for ULM. It has to do with the Air Force and
the Flying Tiger Squadron. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. It was Waterfront Grill. I thought maybe it was Catahoula's at some point, but no.
Okay.
The one right down the street. Yeah, Waterfront Grill. And so I went there with, super
Go for
story. Went there with Rich Rodriguez, who was working there at the time, and Terry Bowden. All right. We were sitting at the table having Cajun food, beers, whatever, some bourbon. And I kid you not, this really happened. A woman got up from the next table. She was leaving with her family or whatever. She walked over. She took a napkin that was on the table. She had a pen in her hand. She wrote down something on a napkin, folded it, and handed it to Terry Bowden and left. Terry opened the napkin, and it was her number.
Yeah, Terry still got it. Dog.
It was amazing.
Got that dog.
I was like, woo, welcome to Monroe.
Got that dog. Yeah, it's Funrow right there. Funrow. Shout out to Enox, which is where apparently my wife would drink at Thanksgiving in college. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice and local to all these places that okay, look, I got to spend a lot of time in this place. So this is a little bit of a home team vibe, but also Northwestern, not good. 11.5 points. Lot. Okay. The only loss on Monroe's record right now, Alabama. Folks, I'm not calling for upset. I'm just saying that they hit that 11.5 and I don't think that Northwestern's offense is good enough to put 11.5 up as a margin. So even if it's 10.5, I know it might have changed on our graphic or whatever. I'm taking the points. I'm taking Funro. I'm taking the fighting Bryant Vincent, who's also the acting AD. We haven't seen that in a while since Derek Dooley was AD at Louisiana Tech. Is that right, Andy? Are there any other modern examples?
It's usually at schools in Louisiana that don't want to pay for both things.
Well, the budget is a concern at ULM, and Bryant Vincent summoning wins out of the ether. I hung out in their facilities the day before Thanksgiving last year, and what they are doing there is nothing short of remarkable.
They just broke a 15-year losing streak to Arkansas State. Or 15-game losing streak to Arkansas State.
They have, I am related by marriage to Stan Humphries now. So I mean, there's bias here, and his name's on the stadium. So and I would have to. His daughter married my wife's first cousin who pitched at ULM.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I have this with some LSU players too, Ross. Like this is. I used to carry a notebook because my in-law tree is so big. This is a true story. When I went to the funeral of my wife's grandmother, I had to write out pages. Ross, are you familiar with a town that looks like Iowa in Louisiana, but it's pronounced Iway?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We got folks there. We got all of Lake Charles.
Nice. Very good.
All of
you got people in Laplace.
Yeah, Bro Bridge people, all this, it's a whole thing. There's a lot of French names on her mom's side. Anyways, look, ULM, damn it. Okay. I want to keep good relations there. All right. Shout out to the Warhawks. I may just come up and look, things get stressful during the holidays. I may just come up there and hang out for a little while in the facilities. I'd like a set of keys. I like ULM here.
You might be the next AD, Godfrey. So let's not aim too low.
Happen. Boy, you do not want me in an executive decision-making function inside of college football. Especially
imagine you with an expense account at the Waterfront Grill.
Dude, imagine. Yeah. I mean, we would take some risky plays. I'd be calling Ross Dellenger and leaking him all kinds of stuff on this strange stuff. You want to talk about private equity, folks? Yeah. If anyone in Saudi Arabia is listening at the PIF, let me talk to you about ULM football and the investment opportunity that exists. Okay, because right now we're kind of struggling for a cash infusion here. So if anybody, UAE, you're listening, you know what? Some sort of sketchy South American business enterprise in Uruguay where there's no extradition, just give us a call. We're looking for money at ULM. Go Warhawks. I think they're gonna give me that 11.5.
I think it's a great place to leave it. Lots of great games on Saturday. We will talk to you on Sunday and break them all down on the College Football Enquirer. And of course, if you would like to see us, you want to see that beautiful, beautiful denim shirt that Steven Godfrey's wearing.
What can I wear one week that it doesn't get brought up on the show? Just a black t-shirt?
Yeah. Actually, if you're naked, I'll bring that up too.
Oh, God.
But go to your home screen on your smart TV.
We're middle-aged.
Go to the Yahoo Sports Network. Watch the College Football Enquirer. Or anywhere you are, phone, tablet, any device, yahoosports.tv for all of the offerings of the Yahoo Sports Network. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you on Sunday.